Have you ever felt that that pervasive sense of being utterly swamped by information? Like you're
Yeah.
constantly trying to keep your head above this rising tide of articles, reports, books, and there's simply not enough time to read it all, let alone, truly absorb it.
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe you've poured hours into a book,
Yeah.
only to find that weeks later, the core insights just vanished.
Exactly. You are absolutely not alone in that feeling. Our brains are incredible. I mean, capable of spotting a familiar face in a dense crowd in an instant, processing this massive amount of visual data without conscious effort.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yet when we approach the written word, many of us are still stuck in this slow, laborious process, decoding one word at a time, just as we were taught in childhood. There's a clear disconnect there, wouldn't you say?
It's truly fascinating because what we're seeing isn't just a matter of reading faster. It's a fundamental disconnect between our ingrained learning habits and our brain's incredible natural capabilities. For years, we've been operating with a kind of manual that isn't quite right for our own internal hardware. This brings up a powerful question. What if we could bridge that gap? What if we could tap into our mind's inherent visual power to absorb information with unprecedented ease? What if the problem wasn't you struggling to keep up, but rather the method you were taught? That's a core idea here.
Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into exactly that, a truly, I think, revolutionary approach from the book Super Reading Secrets. This isn't about skimming your way through content, leaving vital information behind. No, this is about a complete holistic system, one that promises to unlock your mind's hidden potential, transforming you into what the book calls a super reader. We're going to unpack the core problems the book meticulously identifies with traditional reading.
Yeah.
That's really our focus. What problems does it find? And then, chapter by chapter, from 1 through 9, we'll reveal how its techniques offer surprising, practical, and incredibly effective solutions, helping you master information like never before. The central premise, the core problem this book sets out to solve, is this fundamental mismatch between our brain's vast capacity and our limiting reading habits. And it presents a step-by-step pathway to bridge that very gap. So let's start at the very beginning, right? Right at the foundational issue, which chapter 1 lays out with remarkable clarity. It dives into how our minds were, in a way, misdirected or miseducated when it comes to reading. What's the biggest inefficiency it points to? What's the problem here?
Well, the foundational issue, the one that really sets the stage for so many reading challenges, is this ingrained reliance on single-word decoding. Think about it. When you're navigating a bustling mall, your brain can instantaneously pick out a familiar face, like an old friend named Bob, even amidst a sea of strangers. You process an astounding amount of visual information gate, posture, subtle facial cues in a split second to make that recognition. Or consider a common phrase like hot dog. You don't consciously process H-O-T then D-O-G as separate entities. Your mind processes hot dog as a single unified concept.
Yeah.
That delicious ballpark snack almost instantaneously.
Right.
We intuitively grasp clusters of information, not individual components. That's just how we work.
That's such a great analogy. It would be absurd to look at a great book and say, wow, those were some really interesting letters.
Yep.
We're not reading letters, we're reading ideas. But then when we pick up a text, the traditional schooling system often conditions us to read one letter at a time, then one word at a time, often moving our heads or finger along the line. This is a fundamental inefficiency, as the book highlights.
It really is.
We're essentially stuck in this laborious sequential decoding process, which tragically prevents us from leveraging that immense visual power our brains use effortlessly in other areas of life. The core issue, the problem identified here, is that we aren't taught to read beyond that single word unit. And that keeps us dependent on each individual word rather than the larger, more meaningful chunks of information our amazing brains are perfectly capable of handling. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a teacup when you have a perfectly good hose right next to you.
That's a perfect way to put it. And this leads us directly to the crucial role of schema in comprehension. Schema, that crucial background knowledge we all carry, is simply all the information you already possess when you encounter something new.
Okay.
It's built up unconsciously, often from a very young age. Think about distinguishing a square from a circle. That seems incredibly basic to you now. But it's a piece of schema you acquired early in life by observing shapes and patterns around you. It's the mental framework that gives new information context.
So if schema is so vital, what happens when it's missing? Or, when an author makes faulty assumptions about what their readers already know? That seems like a big problem.
It is. The book provides a brilliant, almost frustrating exercise that truly highlights this. It describes a common activity doing laundry, but deliberately removes all schematic clues.
Right, I remember that one.
You're left with a passage that becomes almost impossible to comprehend, even though it's about something perfectly familiar in your daily life. It powerfully demonstrates how authors assume you have certain background knowledge, and when that assumption is wrong or the schema isn't provided, comprehension just crumbles.
And that happens a lot, doesn't it? Especially in academic writing.
Oh, definitely. Experts, deeply immersed in their field, can become desensitized to the complexity of their material and inadvertently fail to provide the necessary schema for a less informed reader, leaving them adrift. That's a huge problem the book flags.
Conversely, though, passages rich in schema are incredibly easy to comprehend, even if they completely lack traditional grammatical structure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book uses that fantastic example of Bob Clark's checkbook entries. Despite lacking proper sentences or paragraphs, you can infer so much. On a literal level, you know it's about Bob Clark, a baby, prep school, a military academy, a new Cadillac.
Just the facts.
Just the facts. But then, on an implied level, you can deduce the baby was likely born around August 1st or 2nd because of the timing of the hospital and doctor payments.
Yeah.
Your everyday knowledge, your schema, fills in those gaps without conscious effort.
And it gets even deeper. The book talks about how you can infer Bob Clark's economic condition, or even on an inferential level, his relationship with his son. The amount spent on toys in 1902, contrasted with the price of a Cadillac 18 years later, clearly indicates his rising wealth and perhaps even a certain indulgence towards his son. You bring your own schema, your understanding of historical money value, societal norms to that. When you miss a few words, your brain can often fill in the gaps because it has a broader conceptual understanding, a schema for the topic.
Right. This highlights a critical problem. If our early education inadvertently limited our natural reading ability by focusing on single words, and if schema is so crucial to higher-level understanding, how can we retrain our minds to leverage this innate capacity?
That's the million-dollar question.
The book's core premise, the solution it offers, is that by understanding how we should decode text, how we activate and utilize our existing schema, we free ourselves from these long-standing limitations. It directly addresses this fundamental problem of being stuck.
So it connects back to those 3 levels of meaning the book outlines.
Precisely. Literal, implied, and inferential. Literal meaning is the easiest to grasp. It's the information explicitly stated on the page. Names, dates, formulas, what you memorize for a quiz.
Right. Then there's the implied level, which isn't stated directly but can be derived from common knowledge, from our collective schema. Like if you read about Columbus sailing in 1492, you automatically assume he took a boat, not a plane. Your schema tells you planes simply didn't exist then. It's what an average reader can deduce.
Exactly. And finally, the inferential level. This is where it gets truly challenging because it requires you to scrutinize the text as an expert, to think critically, to probe, even challenge the author. It demands considerable experience with the subject matter. For instance, interpreting a complex technical report on a new medication and questioning its efficacy without a strong background in chemistry or medicine would be inferential reading beyond your current schema.
I see.
And the book points out that many reading difficulties, many problems people face, stem precisely from an inability to decode at these implied or inferential levels, often because of a lack of relevant schema or the author's failure to provide it adequately. The book's goal is to equip you to overcome this core problem, to move beyond just the literal words and truly grasp the full depth of any text.
Okay, so we've pinpointed the foundational issues with how we read and the crucial role of schema. But for many, the immediate, most frustrating problem they face with reading is simply speed. Many of us have tried speed reading courses only to find them frustrating, difficult to sustain, or even, counterproductive.
Oh, yeah.
What does Chapter 2 reveal about the limitations of those traditional approaches? And how does super reading offer a different path, a better solution?
That's an excellent point. Most traditional speed reading courses rely heavily on what psychologists refer to as motor skills. These involve mechanical drills, like training your eyes to scan text at increasingly high rates, similar to learning to type faster or drive a manual car.
Right, the eye exercises.
Exactly. The fundamental problem is that mastering these motor skills requires extensive, frequent, and often tedious practice. We're talking 30 to 60 minutes daily for at least a month, consistently, just to build up the muscle memory, so to speak.
And that's where the infamous use it or lose it problem comes in, isn't it?
It is. It's like a physical muscle. Unless you continually practice at your optimum reading rate, those higher speeds you gain through purely mechanical methods tend to diminish. Most people simply don't have the time or the unwavering discipline to sustain that level of constant, rigorous practice.
Yeah, life gets in the way.
It does. And they prefer to read slowly sometimes, to savor a novel, or to truly unpack a complex academic paper. This makes traditional approaches unsustainable and, frankly, often quite frustrating, leading to aggression and a sense of failure. This reliance on sheer mechanical drills often creates a major barrier, a real problem for becoming a truly efficient and adaptable reader.
So what's the super reading solution here? How does it differ?
What's truly revolutionary about the super reading approach, as described in this book, is that it transcends mere mechanical drills. It incorporates metacognitive techniques in essence, understanding how the brain masters learning itself.
Okay, so it's more about the why and how the brain works.
Precisely. By grasping the underlying cognitive processes of how your mind decodes and processes text, you could achieve significant increases in your reading speed in hours instead of days or weeks.
Hours. That's a big claim.
It is. But the book backs it up. And because it doesn't solely rely on motor skills, you can fluidly adjust your reading speed for different materials and purposes without losing your peak performance. This tackles a critical problem head-on. Traditional methods don't stick because they don't align with how our brain naturally learns and adapts. Super reading does. It offers a sustainable solution.
It also brilliantly demystifies that incredibly frustrating moment when you try to force yourself to read faster and suddenly feel like your comprehension just plummets. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. The book explains this temporary comprehension loss as a natural, brief, and expected phase. It typically lasts only 15 to 30 minutes. And crucially, it's a positive sign that you are actively breaking old, inefficient habits that have been holding you back.
So it's like pushing through a barrier.
Exactly. It requires a bit of faith in the process, a willingness to push through that initial discomfort. But the book assures us that pushing through this brief period leads to significantly improved understanding at those much higher speeds. It's about overcoming that mental block, the deeply ingrained fear of missing information, which is a common and debilitating problem for so many readers.
And this connects to breaking other bad habits, right? Like that inner voice.
Vocalization and eye stops. Many readers, perhaps unknowingly, vocalize words aloud or silently to themselves, that inner voice we all recognize. This habit fundamentally hampers efficiency and speed because the brain relies on visual cues, not auditory ones, for text, meaning. Your brain can process visual information far faster than you can speak words aloud.
That's fascinating. So the inner voice, far from being a helpful guide, is actually a bottleneck. That's a key problem identified.
It often is, yes.
The book introduces incredibly simple yet remarkably effective techniques, like using your hand to guide your eyes.
Yeah, the hand motions.
By tracing patterns, like a winding stream or a vertical line down the page, your hand forces your eyes to scan faster than that inner voice can possibly process. This naturally reduces vocalization and ultimately improves both comprehension and speed.
And that physical guide also strategically prevents your eyes from stopping or staring at unfamiliar phrases, what the book calls regressions, or from jumping ahead without understanding, known as progressions.
Regressions and progressions. I hate those.
They kill your speed. These stops and jumps are common causes of slow reading and rereading. The beauty of this is that your brain is incredibly powerful. It can often determine meaning from context, even if a few words are missed. But those constant eye stops break the flow and prevent that larger contextual understanding from forming. The hand motions solve that problem.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah, the book is essentially arguing that traditional speed reading tools are akin to trying to improve a car's speed by just focusing on optimizing its tires. Super reading, by contrast, helps you tune the entire engine, your brain's natural processing power. Its inherent ability to process information visually and contextually. It addresses the fundamental problem of how we've been taught to read, rather than just patching over the symptoms, offering a truly sustainable solution.
Okay, building on that crucial understanding of schema from Chapter 1, Chapter 3 really shows us how to harness it to tackle another major problem, wasting valuable time and material we already know. It's all about strategic reading, transforming passive consumption into an active, intelligent hunt for knowledge.
That's a critical insight. The problem is that authors, in an admirable effort to ensure even the least prepared reader understands, often provide what the book calls excessive schema.
Right, stuff you might already know.
Exactly. For you, the informed reader, this means a significant portion of a book might be information you already know. Think about reading a particularly difficult book, perhaps a dense academic text, plodding through complex new ideas. Then, you hit a familiar passage, maybe an introductory explanation you've encountered before. Most people tend to slow down here, almost resting in that comfortable, known territory.
The oasis trap.
The book calls it the oasis trap. While it provides a momentary sense of relief, it's actually a huge waste of valuable time that could be spent actively engaging with new, challenging information. This common reading behavior directly undermines efficiency and prolongs the learning process unnecessarily. It's a significant problem in how people read.
It's a fascinating disconnect. The author's intent to inform everyone versus your specific need as a reader. So what's the solution?
The powerful solution presented by super reading is to use schema-driven, speed-increasing techniques. When you consciously identify familiar information, you learn to increase your speed dramatically, perhaps doubling or even tripling your normal rate by scanning primarily the topic sentences and key phrases.
Okay.
Then, when genuinely new, necessary information appears, the core information kernels you need to learn, you deliberately slow down to your precise comprehension rate. This is about consciously varying your pace, turning a linear passive reading experience into an active, strategic hunt for knowledge, directly solving the problem of inefficient information filtering.
And this strategy extends to stripping the clutter, right? That's a vital skill.
Absolutely. The book points out that most nonfiction books are essentially expanded outlines. Authors take a concise structure and then expand upon it with numerous examples, illustrative anecdotes, detailed elaborations, turning a 7-page outline into a multi-hundred-page book. Your job as a super reader is to learn to bypass this clutter and quickly locate the core information kernels, the fundamental concepts and definitions, which are often thoughtfully bolded or highlighted in the book's own exercises, making this process even more efficient. You're learning to read for meaning, not just words.
And it's also about recognizing the incredible power of verbs and nouns. These words, the book explains, carry the essence of meaning, the who, what, where, when, and why. Your brain is incredibly adept at piecing these together at high speeds, almost like solving a closed comprehension test where you fill in the blanks using context.
Right, like connecting the dots.
This allows for surprisingly high comprehension even when you're moving quickly, because your brain isn't getting bogged down in the grammatical scaffolding, it's extracting the pure meaning.
The book further reveals hidden secrets contained within a book's very structure itself. The first and last chapters, for instance, are often exceptionally rich in schema, introducing the book's overarching purpose and summarizing its key content. These sections are invaluable for quickly grasping the overall framework of a book, giving you a mental map before you even start the main journey.
That's a great tip.
Similarly, within each individual chapter, the opening paragraphs typically introduces purpose, and the closing paragraph summarizes key takeaways. This structural awareness helps you navigate and extract key information more efficiently, tackling the common problem of feeling lost or overwhelmed in dense text.
And then there are specific reading hindrances that the book proactively addresses, problems we run into, like negative sentences.
Oh yeah. Negative and conditional sentences, words like no, not if, could, should, unless, can dramatically alter meaning and often cause a reader to misinterpret or slow down unnecessarily. A super reader learns to spot these specific words and then consciously slow down just enough to evaluate their precise impact on the sentence, preventing critical misinterpretation, which is a common and incredibly frustrating problem, especially in technical or legal documents.
Definitely. Visual problems are another significant obstacle. Regressions, where your eyes unconsciously reread material, progressions where they jump ahead, losing track of the current point, and simple distractions where they wander off the text. All of these kill reading efficiency.
They really do. The book highly recommends consistent use of hand motions, like the eye pattern for narrow columns or a simple steady sweep for wider text, to force your eyes forward, preventing these wasteful movements. It acknowledges that the brain can often determine meaning from context even if a few words are missed, making constant rereading for every single word unnecessary and counterproductive.
And finally, that ubiquitous inner voice or vocalization. How does high-speed reading help there?
Well, high-speed reading naturally forces you to process text faster than you can physically speak it aloud, which in turn significantly reduces that inner vocalization. The trick isn't to silence it completely, but to consciously use it to verbally abstract and condense key meanings into short, powerful phrases rather than meticulously parroting individual words.
Okay, so using it strategically.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means you have a built-in advantage. The book shows you how to recognize when an author is giving you too much information for your specific needs, and then equips you with the tools to efficiently bypass it. This is where it gets really interesting, because it turns reading from a passive activity into an active strategic hunt for knowledge, directly solving the problem of information overload and transforming you into an agile, adaptable reader.
Okay, so once we've mastered how our minds decode text and harness the potential of speed and schema, Chapter 4 introduces the concept of becoming an information architect. This directly addresses a significant and pervasive problem: the passive way most people approach reading.
They just open a book and start reading page 1.
Exactly. They simply open a book and begin, hoping the information will somehow just stick.
That's a huge one, isn't it? Most people simply absorb or try to absorb without questioning, challenging, or actively engaging with the author's ideas. This passive approach severely limits both understanding and, crucially, long-term retention. You might read the words, but you're not truly making the ideas your own, not building those vital connections in your mind.
Precisely. The book's solution lies in active reading through strategic questioning. It introduces the timeless who, what, where, when, why, how framework. By consistently asking these questions as you initially examine a book's layout and content, even before diving into the main text, you immediately engage with the material and begin to extract its underlying schema.
So you're investigating the book before you read it.
You are. It transforms you from a mere recipient into a detective of information, actively seeking out the core structure and purpose.
And this isn't just about structured note-taking, right?
Not at all. The book emphasizes that formulating literal, implied, and inferential questions for yourself during reading acts as an immediate self-test, a real-time diagnostic. It highlights any gaps in your understanding before you're in a high-stakes situation, like a meeting, giving a crucial presentation, or taking an exam.
Right, avoiding that uh-oh moment later.
Exactly. This proactive approach prevents those potentially embarrassing moments where you realize you didn't quite grasp something you thought you did. It's a powerful, self-correcting solution to a very common comprehension problem.
The chapter then shifts to unlocking hidden information within a book's physical features, treating the book's entire layout as a valuable source of schema in itself.
Yeah, this is fascinating. The jacket cover and flaps, for instance, are packed with quick summaries, author biographies to assess their expertise and potential biases, and reviewer comments or endorsements, which you learn to evaluate for genuine credibility.
That anecdote about the Jackie Collins book on TV is great.
It is. The author shares how just reading the jacket flap biographies allowed him to immediately identify characters with similar names at high speed, averting a potential on-air disaster. It's a powerful demonstration of how quickly these external pieces of schema can be leveraged.
And it goes beyond just the cover. Checking the copyright date and book edition takes literally a second, but it's absolutely crucial for determining how current the information is. Especially in fast-changing fields like tax law or technology, an old book can be completely irrelevant or even misleading.
Or it could give historical context, but you need to know which it is.
Exactly. This quick check helps you avoid wasting time on outdated material solving that problem.
Then there's the foreword, a section often skipped, but as the book emphasizes, incredibly vital. It's often the only place where another author or expert discusses the author of the main text.
Why is that so important?
It's essential for inferential reading. It reveals the author's background, training, qualifications, and potential biases that might subtly shape their work. The book uses the profound example of Karl Marx, suggesting that his chronic, painful boils and poor health may have influenced his philosophical outlook, a detail often found only in a foreword.
Yeah.
It illustrates how an author's personal experiences, even their physical condition, can subtly shape their intellectual output, and reading the foreword provides this critical, often overlooked context.
The introduction then clearly explains the book's specific purpose and the author's underlying motives or objectives.
Right, which helps you quickly match the book's utility to your needs, especially if you're trying to decide between several books for a project. It helps solve the problem of selecting the absolute right resource, preventing you from investing time in the wrong material.
But perhaps the most powerful tool for an information architect is the table of contents.
Oh, definitely. The book calls it a roadmap, and it truly is. It's the author's meticulously constructed outline of the entire book. By reading it at your comprehension speed, you gain an immediate and profound understanding of the book's overall structure and the underlying pattern of information flow.
Like how different subjects are organized?
Exactly. History books universally flow chronologically. Biology books typically organize by size, from smaller to larger units, often with consistent subpatterns like physiology, mating, eating, applied to different organisms. This deep structural understanding allows you to navigate difficult sections by finding related information elsewhere in the book or even predict what information is coming next.
It's like an X-ray view.
It essentially gives you an X-ray view of the entire book before you even start reading the main text, drastically reducing disorientation and solving that feeling lost problem.
And it doesn't stop there. Graphics like tables, graphs, and diagrams.
Crucial. They provide essential visual schema, summarizing complex data at a glance. The book suggests skimming them quickly to identify their presence and mark them for later, more detailed study, rather than trying to master every single detail on the first pass.
So note them. Don't get stuck on them initially.
Right. Similarly, sidebars and footnotes often contain important background or tangential information. You can quickly scan their topic sentences to decide if they're necessary for your current comprehension, saving precious time. The book points out that publications like Scientific American are excellent at this, providing concise summaries and liberally labeled diagrams that often convey about 80% of an article's core information. This is how you avoid getting bogged down by extraneous details that aren't critical to your immediate purpose.
Summaries and abstracts are also key, particularly in academic or technical papers.
Definitely. They highlight the author's intended learning points, so reading them at your best speed before diving into the main text primes your mind to grasp the core message. It's like getting the answers to the test before you even study the material. You know what to look for.
What about the index? People usually skip that until the end.
Another hidden gem. Skimming it at triple speed can rapidly reveal your familiarity with the book's content and help you estimate its difficulty level, exposing hidden, unfamiliar topics you might otherwise miss until it's too late in your reading.
And finally, the glossary.
Summarizes key vocabulary used throughout the text. A quick skim helps you identify any new or specialized terms that will require extra study or attention. This helps solve the problem of unexpectedly encountering too much jargon without being prepared.
Okay, so this raises an important question, doesn't it? Rather than just reading linearly, page by page, what if we treat a book not as a flat sequence, but like a complex puzzle or a multi-layered cake?
I like that analogy.
Each component, the cover, the foreword, the table of contents, offers crucial taste tests or blueprint pieces that, when combined strategically, provide a powerful schematic overview, allowing us to approach the main text with far greater understanding and incredible efficiency. It means you're not just passively absorbing, but actively constructing and navigating your knowledge. It solves the problem of passive reading. So we've learned how to read more dynamically, how to become information architects, how to harness schema. Now, Chapter 5 zeroes in on another common pitfall many of us fall into, the one-size-fits-all reading strategy, trying to absorb a fast-paced thriller the same way you'd meticulously dissect a complex philosophy textbook.
That just doesn't work.
The book argues that different reading purposes demand different strategies, and it offers incredibly practical solutions to this widespread problem of inflexible reading habits.
Precisely. Trying to absorb everything at high speed with maximum retention is simply wasteful if your goal is pure relaxation. The book introduces the 3 steps for comprehension reading, a staged learning process designed to maximize efficiency and tailor your engagement.
Okay, what are the steps?
Step 1 is productive skimming. This means zipping through a page in a mere 2 to 5 seconds.
2 to 5 seconds.
Wow. Your primary goal here is to learn the text schema and overall layout to get a bird's eye view. You won't verbalize every word, but your mind will unconsciously absorb a surprising amount of information. You're strategically marking off important areas for later, deeper engagement. This initial overview is absolutely critical because it helps you know exactly where to find supporting schema when you encounter difficult passages later, preventing you from getting stuck or lost. It's like a reconnaissance mission before the main advance. Solves the getting lost problem.
Then comes step 2, reading at your best comprehension rate.
Right. After that initial rapid skim, you reread the material, but this time you're focused on your specific purpose and actively visualizing the schema you just absorbed. This allows you to see finer details, to make deeper connections, and to highlight more precisely. Crucially, you still avoid stopping for difficult parts.
So don't stop.
Nope. Instead, you simply mark them for later, maintaining your flow and not getting bogged down.
Okay. And step 3.
And that leads directly into step 3. Studying and memorizing specific information. This is when you return to those marked and highlighted areas to truly master the difficult data, utilizing the powerful memory techniques we'll explore in detail in a moment. The genius here is that the prior exposure from productive skimming and comprehension reading makes decoding these tough sections exponentially easier because your brain already has a contextual framework.
Ah, I see. It builds on itself.
It's a staged approach that prevents you from getting bogged down prematurely and ensures your efforts are always targeted.
The book also offers powerful techniques for enhancing retention during the reading process itself, right? Like with the inner voice.
Yes, instead of merely parroting words with your inner voice, which we've established as a bottleneck, you're encouraged to use your inner voice to condense information into short, schematically meaningful phrases. This isn't about rote memorization of every word, but about extracting and internalizing the core concepts.
And engaging multiple senses.
Even more powerfully, you're encouraged to engage multiple senses as you read. Visualize the text as if you're watching a compelling movie unfold in your mind. Try to vividly imagine the taste, touch, smell, feel, and even the sounds of what's being described. The more brain regions you stimulate through this multisensory engagement, the deeper and more robust your memory will be.
That sounds fun, actually.
It can be. And active reading continues throughout. Continually ask yourself literal, implied, and inferential questions, and consciously compare the information with other books or knowledge you possess on the subject. This active engagement deepens understanding and significantly enhances recall.
This is where the true tailoring comes in, for what the book identifies as the 4 main reading motives, each requiring a distinct approach to solve the problem of inefficient effort.
Right. First, pleasure reading, like fiction.
My favorite kind.
Mine too. This is you don't do productive skimming. You definitely don't want to spoil the ending. The sole focus is pure enjoyment and immersion in the narrative. For literary works, you might intentionally read slowly to savor the language, the prose, the character development, but for slowly moving passages.
Like long descriptions.
Exactly. Perhaps a lengthy, detailed description of a room or a landscape in a novel like The Mists of Avalon, the book cleverly suggests speeding up, like fast-forwarding through commercials on an old VCR. You still get the essence of the regal throne room or the stunning dress, but you quickly reach the more stimulating plot points, enhancing your overall enjoyment and engagement.
Ha! Fast-forwarding descriptions. I like that.
You also learn to mentally organize information into jars. Perhaps one for plot, one for theme, one for characters, for better organization and retention of the narrative elements.
Okay, what's next after pleasure reading?
Next is hobby and special interest reading. This is where all 3 steps of the comprehension reading process are fully utilized. You productively skim to find the relevant sections that align with your specific interest, read at your best comprehension rate, then study and highlight facts for your personal goals.
Like learning software.
Exactly. The author shares a compelling personal anecdote about using this method to learn new computer programs like WordStar and WordPerfect in under 3 hours, demonstrating the remarkable efficiency of this tailored approach. This tackles the problem of hobbyists feeling overwhelmed by manuals or deep dives into their passions.
Then there's reading for studying, typically for temporary recall, like for an upcoming exam or presentation next week.
Right. Here, productive skimming is still important, but kept intentionally brief, no more than 15 minutes to get the layout. The significant majority of your time, 50–70%, is then spent learning the highlighted information, not just rereading it passively.
So active learning, not just reading.
Active learning, testing yourself, internalizing it.
And finally,
reading to master information. This is for long-term, minute detail, the kind of absolute recall that professionals like doctors, lawyers, or pilots need. Here, 90% of your time is dedicated to the learning and memorizing phases, not the initial reading. Reading is merely the initial step to locate pertinent facts.
Wow, 90% on learning.
It shows the level of commitment needed for true mastery. This tiered approach directly helps you avoid that frustrating feeling of reading a book only to forget its contents a week later.
That's a huge problem solved right there.
It is. It's about consciously training your mind to organize and retain what's truly important, precisely tailored to why you're reading. It's a game changer for anyone seeking true information mastery, solving the fundamental problem of ineffective knowledge absorption by providing a flexible, purpose-driven framework.
Okay, so we've covered how to approach reading with purpose, which leads us directly to Chapter 6, Strategizing for Success. This chapter tackles a huge, pervasive problem many of us face, especially in school or professional settings. Studying the wrong information, or perhaps not knowing how deeply to study it for a specific goal. How does the book suggest we navigate this?
This is absolutely critical because students often fail exams despite diligent study, simply because they don't know what information their instructor or even a client or supervisor in a professional context expects them to know,
Yeah.
or what level of detail. The book introduces a brilliant framework. The 4 information levels: awareness, familiarity, knowledge, and expertise to address this precise problem.
Okay, let's break those down. What's the awareness level?
Awareness level is about fundamental principles, incredibly quick to learn. The book uses the example of a nuclear magnetic resonance spectrum, or NMRS, being an electronic fingerprint of an organic compound.
Got it. Basic concept.
Exactly. You can grasp that core concept in an instant. This level is perfect for quickly broadening your general understanding from sources like newspapers or magazines, giving you a functional overview.
Okay, then familiarity.
Familiarity level covers the main categories of a subject. In organic chemistry, that might mean distinguishing between broad organic compound groupings, much like you distinguish between a fish, a reptile, or a mammal in biology. This takes a few days to learn and is typical for hobby or special interest reading, addressing the problem of needing a moderate, usable level of detail without getting bogged down.
Makes sense. Knowledge level.
Knowledge level focuses on main examples within categories, like identifying specific common chemicals from their NMRSs. This requires prior knowledge and can take months to a year to master.
Because you're
Moving from general concepts to specific applications. It's where you start to apply concepts in a truly practical, identifiable way.
Okay, so deeper application and expertise.
And finally, the expertise level. This demands a complete, exhaustive understanding down to minute, intricate details, often taking a lifetime to master. Think of a police scientist pinpointing every single chemical component in a mud sample to determine its exact geological origin. This level requires high aptitude and leaves absolutely no room for error, directly addressing the problem of needing absolute precision and instant recall in certain high-stakes fields.
The book then offers concrete, actionable strategies for determining the appropriate learning level, especially for academic settings. How do you figure that out?
A key, almost unfair tip is to analyze old examinations.
That's the inside track.
Exactly. By looking at the percentage of questions on each learning level from past tests, you can accurately predict what will be emphasized on your upcoming exam. This directly solves the problem of not knowing what to study, giving you a highly targeted approach. It also wisely suggests looking at how much time your professor allocates to a particular topic in class. If a difficult, dense textbook is assigned, but the professor consistently focuses on familiarity or knowledge level topics and lectures, you can confidently expect the exam to reflect that emphasis.
So pay attention to where the teacher spends their time.
Absolutely. This helps you avoid over-preparing for information that won't actually be tested. The author even shares a personal anecdote about strategic grade pursuit, sometimes prioritizing professors who give fair exams over those who might be perceived as better teachers, but have notoriously unreasonable or unpredictable grading expectations.
Ah, that's pragmatic.
It highlights the practical problem of misalignment between learning and grading systems and how to navigate it effectively.
And crucially, these strategies aren't just for school. They apply directly to the business world too, right?
Well, definitely. For a new job with an existing client, you analyze that client's past questioning habits. Did they typically ask familiarity level questions, or did they demand expertise level detail? This ensures you don't over-prepare for simple meetings. For a new client, but an old familiar job, you analyze what other clients typically ask about this type of work, drawing on your broader experience.
Okay. What about new job, new client? That sounds tricky.
Most difficult scenario. Here, the book strongly advises consulting friends in the industry or professional groups to understand typical client questions and job requirements. Essentially obtaining the schema of the project before you even begin studying the details. This directly addresses the problem of navigating uncertain information demands in a new professional context, giving you a strategic edge.
So, if we connect this to the bigger picture...
Yeah, this entire approach is about intellectual triage. It's not just about what to study, but how deeply to study it based on your objective and the demands of the situation. This is critical thinking applied directly to your learning process, ensuring maximum efficiency and impact. It's a powerful solution to the deeply felt problem of feeling overwhelmed by too much information, helping you focus your energy where it truly matters.
And to help with organizing all this strategically acquired information, the chapter introduces schematic mapping. How does that solve a problem?
It directly addresses a significant problem with traditional linear outlining. Anyone who's ever trying to add a new idea in the middle of a neat sequential outline or rearrange connections knows how incredibly frustrating and rigid it can be.
Oh, yeah, it's a nightmare.
Schematic maps, by contrast, are dynamic, visual, tree-like structures that organize information around a central theme, clearly showing relationships and hierarchies between ideas. They are incredibly flexible and easy to modify, which is crucial for dynamic, evolving learning. You can use them at different magnifications.
Like zooming in and out.
Exactly. Low power for a broad overview, like mapping the heart's chambers, to high power for specific, intricate details of a particular valve. This approach mirrors how the brain naturally learns, allowing you to see both the specific information and its relationship to the whole, fundamentally solving the problem of rigid, non-adaptable study methods and fostering a deeper, more integrated understanding. #, unlocking your infallible memory. Chapter 7.
Okay, we've built a strong foundation.
Yeah.
How to read more dynamically, how to strategically assess information, how to organize it. But what about the age-old universal problem of simply remembering it all? Chapter 7 of Super Reading Secrets makes a bold, almost provocative claim. You possess an infallible memory. The problem, it argues, isn't that you forget, it's that you struggle with recall.
That's such a powerful reframing, isn't it? The book argues your memory is perfect. The challenge lies in retrieving information when you need it. Think about remembering a song from years ago just by hearing a few notes, even if you never consciously tried to memorize the lyrics.
Right, it's in there somewhere.
It is. The challenge isn't that the information is gone, but that you can't access it precisely when you need it, like forgetting someone's name in a crucial moment, only to have it pop into your head days later when the pressure is off.
In there.
We all have. This chapter presents an arsenal of powerful, scientifically backed memory development techniques specifically designed to solve this frustrating retrieval problem.
Okay, let's hear them. What's first?
The first technique is elegantly simple: indexing your memory using plain index cards. You summarize concepts, the how or why something works, like Newton's first law on one set of cards. On another, you record definitions, the literal facts, like names, dates, foreign words, specific formulas.
Simple enough.
The crucial tip here, and one that directly combats a very common learning problem, is to shuffle your cards randomly.
Why random?
If you don't, you might fall victim to place learning, where you only remember facts in the specific order you learned them, like state capitals recalled alphabetically rather than independently. Shuffling forces your brain to retrieve each piece of information individually, strengthening the neural pathways.
Ah, makes sense. What if you get one wrong?
If you miss a card, the book recommends engaging multiple senses for reinforcement. You write the concept or definition 25 times while saying it aloud.
25 times?
Yeah. This deliberately stimulates your visual, motor, and auditory centers of the brain simultaneously for stronger, more accessible recall, making the information stick permanently. It's intentionally annoying enough that your brain prefers to remember it correctly next time, avoiding the repetition. It solves the not sticking problem.
Okay, what else? Pegging information to your body? That sounds weird.
It sounds weird, but it's incredibly vivid and effective. This builds on the idea that your brain prefers to link new, abstract information to older, already stored familiar memories. And what could be more familiar than your own body parts? You mentally link new pieces of information to specific, sequential body parts starting from your feet, moving to shins, knees, thighs, and upwards, using exaggerated, intense, and emotionally charged visual associations. The book gives a classic example. Imagine a canary singing on your feet, then a rattlesnake biting your shin, or a worm drilling into your knee.
Whoa.
The more funny, painful, or even slightly outrageous the image, the stronger the emotional glue that sticks that new information to your permanent memory. It makes the abstract concrete and unforgettable.
Okay, I can see how that would work. What about music?
Then there's the surprising power of music. The brain has a natural rhythm, around 60 beats per minute, which is why Baroque music, often in 44 or 34 time, is often considered ideal for memory and concentration. The book suggests creating personal learning tapes. Speak a concept or definition clearly for 4 seconds, then have 4 seconds of silence, all while background music plays softly. Your brain, it turns out, believes it's learning song lyrics, making complex information stick effortlessly.
Like advertising jingles.
Exactly. Think about how catchy jingles on Madison Avenue work. Companies spend millions to make you remember things you don't even want to know. Imagine directing that inherent power at what you need to learn.
That's a brilliant way to overcome boredom during studying, which is a massive problem for so many students.
It really is. The author shares a great personal anecdote from his college days. having to memorize the definition of zoa, a crustacean larva, late on a Saturday night.
Uh-oh.
Instead of succumbing to drudgery, he started making up a song to the tune of Maria from West Side Story. This instantly transformed the chore into a creative challenge, making the information enjoyable to learn and, crucially, much easier to retain. He recalls that definition decades later because it's musically encoded in his brain. It proves that by actively engaging your creative mind, you solve the problem of information resistance.
That's fantastic. What about clustering information?
Clustering information is another key principle the book highlights. The brain naturally prefers to process and store information in manageable units, like the 7 digits of a phone number. Mnemonics are perfect for this, using initial letters of words to represent important terms or concepts. Classic examples include ROIG, BIV for rainbow colors, Soch for trigonometry,
I remember those.
or the author's own memorable creation, SM Migasak, for the characteristics of living things. This allows your mind to recall a single word or phrase and instantly unlock a whole cluster of associated facts, dramatically expanding your working memory.
And the practical tools keep coming. Learning sets.
Involve consciously linking new information to existing mental filing folders or schema, strengthening those cognitive networks. And for self-testing, the incredibly simple yet effective technique of using envelopes to test memory is a game changer.
How does that work?
You cover text with an envelope and try to recite the next line. You move the envelope up or down as needed, providing immediate, precise feedback on what you know and what you still need to review. For memorizing scripts, the book suggests recording other characters' lines with pauses for your own, helping you master even complex dialogues quickly and with confidence.
These are such practical solutions. How does it all tie together with different types of memory?
This all ties into getting your 3 memories, short-term, intermediate, and long-term, to work together seamlessly. The ultimate goal of study, as the book explains, is to convert fleeting short-term electrical patterns into permanent long-term memory, possibly through changes at the molecular level, as suggested by fascinating early experiments with rats and the protein scotophobin.
Wow.
The book emphasizes the crucial 50-minute rule. Take 10 15-minute breaks after 50 minutes of focused study.
The Pomodoro technique, basically.
Similar idea, yeah. This allows your brain to consolidate short-term memories into long-term storage, preventing cramming amnesia where you forget everything the very next day. It tackles the common problem of inefficient cramming head-on, turning temporary bursts of study into lasting knowledge.
The book also highlights a truly encouraging fact. Relearning information is exponentially faster than initial acquisition.
Huge point. Think about relearning high school French in weeks instead of the years it took the first time. The foundational pathways are already there.
That's motivating.
And constant reinforcement through regular review with your index cards ensures information becomes a permanent part of your working knowledge, readily accessible when you need it. This raises an important question. What if the struggle with memory isn't a deficiency in our brain's inherent capacity, but a deficiency in our methods? The book provides an arsenal of practical techniques that acknowledge and leverage how our brains are actually wired to remember, making memory less about grueling effort and more about intelligent strategic design. It's a truly comprehensive solution to the problem of poor retention.
We've explored how to process information faster, how to remember it better, how to study smarter. But even with all those powerful tools, there's still a significant hurdle that can undermine everything: the mind itself. Chapter 8 delves into the pervasive problem of our minds acting as cruel masters, tormenting us with distractions and negative thoughts, and then, remarkably, reveals how to transform the mind into a powerful ally through focused concentration and unleashed creativity.
What's truly striking here is the book's profound acknowledgement that our minds can indeed torment us, endlessly replaying painful experiences like a breakup or a past failure. The pain, it argues, doesn't come from the external event itself, but from our internal thoughts about it. This wrong thinking drains our vitality, saps our mental energy, and profoundly hinders efficient mental work, especially high-speed reading. At peak speeds, even a fleeting 3-second distraction can mean missing 4.5 pages of text. This is a profound problem that impacts all aspects of learning, productivity, and well-being.
So what's the solution? Mental focusing.
Exactly. But it's presented not just as a spiritual luxury or a fleeting trend. It has profound, scientifically validated physiological benefits. Studies from Harvard Medical School, as cited in the book, demonstrate that mental focusing, or meditation, produces measurable alpha waves associated with deep relaxation and creative expression.
Alpha waves, okay.
It can lower blood pressure. The author recounts a personal experience of dropping his systolic blood pressure 30 points in a mere 30 seconds, reduces respiratory rate, significantly lowers galvanic skin response.
Like a lie detector test.
Similar principle, yeah. Suggesting that 20 minutes of focusing can be equivalent to 6 hours of sleep. It decreases lactic acid, linked to anxiety, and even reduces oxygen consumption, freeing up more oxygen for brain activity.
Wow, those are real physical changes.
Absolutely. All these physiological changes fundamentally prepare the mind for peak performance, directly combating the pervasive problems of tension, anxiety, and distraction that plague so many learners.
Over time.
Over time, consistent mental focusing significantly increases both creativity and problem-solving ability, truly developing your underlying capacity to learn beyond just acquiring rote knowledge. The book recounts the fascinating story of Henry Ford, who was once accused in court of being illiterate. He famously won a slander case by arguing that a truly wise individual knows where to obtain information, rather than cluttering their mind with useless facts. Mental focusing, the book suggests, helps you process vast amounts of information without getting bogged down by excessive detail, increasing your overall mental capacity and intellectual agility.
And this leads to what the book calls becoming one with your reading. What does that mean?
High-speed reading, by its very nature, silences that inner vocalizing voice, allowing for direct, unmediated information absorption. Initially, you might feel insecure, almost like you're not retaining anything.
Yeah, that sounds scary.
It does, but the book assures you that your brain is absorbing it at a deeper, unconscious level. The author shares a compelling anecdote about a student who, after reading a book in 30 minutes using these techniques, discovered she already knew all the crucial information when she went back to really read it slowly.
So the learning happened without her realizing it.
Almost by osmosis. The learning took place without her conscious realization. This confidence in direct absorption, rather than needing to hear the words in your head, is a key to unlocking that hidden potential. The author even recounts how 90 minutes of focusing helped him score 100% on a test for a national TV show on a topic he knew nothing about, simply because his focused mind retained all the important information presented to him. It's a powerful solution to the problem of mental resistance to new information.
Okay, so how do we actually do this focusing? What are the techniques?
The book provides concrete, practical focusing techniques. Method 1 involves simple breathing exercises, specifically alternating nostril breathing, which surprisingly creates a mild euphoria and a state of deep relaxation, perfectly preparing your mind for intense focus.
Alternating nostrils. Okay.
Method 2 uses colors. Visualizing specific colors during inhalation can subtly alter mental states, red, orange, or yellow for stimulation, green and light blue for profound relaxation. The brain, it turns out, doesn't differentiate between actually seeing colors and vividly imagining them, making this a powerful internal mental tool.
Proper body position is also key, right?
Crucial for optimal focus. Sitting straight, feet flat on the floor, palms resting gently in your lap, eyes gently closed, and focusing on where the mind projects images. And then there's the Harvard-developed relaxation response technique, a highly effective method involving focusing on repeating a single word or number, like 111.
Like a mantra.
Exactly. When your mind inevitably wanders, you gently, non-judgmentally shift your focus back to the word. Practicing this for 30 minutes daily gradually strengthens your concentration muscle, solving the problem of a wandering mind.
What about prayer?
For those who prefer it, using prayer as a focal point, like the Lord's Prayer or St. Ephraim's Prayer, can also provide a powerful anchor for the mind and effectively dispel anxiety. Even a simple technique like focusing your eyes on a watch's second hand is suggested, aiming for 5 seconds of uninterrupted focus, gradually increasing to 10 minutes over time.
These techniques directly address the insidious problem of distraction and mental clutter that prevents so many from learning effectively. What about negative emotions specifically?
The book has specific, actionable solutions. For depression, lyric-free, positive music, like gentle lullabies, can redirect the brain's single focus away from negative thoughts that often loop endlessly. For anxiety, which is often characterized by concerned thoughts about a future event, focusing on a positive prayer or affirmation like, "Thou will keep them in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee," can profoundly shift mental energy away from what's troubling you.
That's powerful. The book shares a story about that prayer, doesn't it?
It does. A deeply personal and moving story of the author's mother using this very prayer to cope with severe pain from pancreatic cancer, illustrating its almost miraculous power to dispel anxiety even in the direst of conditions.
This chapter truly reinforces that we as individuals possess the profound power to create our own internal rhythm, to consciously choose positive focus over negative spirals.
Absolutely. And it connects it all back to the brain's incredible creative power. Increased schema, derived from reading across diverse subjects, profoundly enhances your creative potential by allowing you to integrate previously disparate stored information in novel ways, sparking new ideas. The book uses the famous example of physicist Niels Bohr.
The musician-physicist.
Exactly, who discovered the fundamental position of electrons by applying principles from his hobby as a musician, realizing electron positions followed the same mathematical formula as notes on a violin string.
By using your super reading skills, you dramatically increase your schema, which allows you to view events and information multidimensionally.
Imagine observing a sunset not just as a beautiful sight, but simultaneously from the perspective of an astronomer, an artist, and even a police officer, all because you've absorbed knowledge from books on those subjects.
That adds so much richness to life.
It really does. The profound insight here is this. If our minds are truly capable of such profound control and untapped creativity, why do we so often let them be overwhelmed by distraction and negativity? The book argues that mental discipline isn't a spiritual luxury. It's a practical, physiological, and indeed a creative imperative for effective learning and, ultimately, for a more fulfilling life. It offers a tangible solution to the deeply human problem of mental turmoil and untapped intellectual potential.
So we've explored the fundamental problems with how we read and learn and discovered this powerful, comprehensive arsenal of solutions offered throughout Super Reading Secrets. Now, in Chapter 9, the book addresses what is arguably the ultimate challenge, the final problem, integrating all these disparate skills, speed reading, schema utilization, memory techniques, mental focusing into a cohesive, flowing system, one that truly works in the real world, whether for passing a crucial exam or simply mastering a complex new body of knowledge.
This is truly where the rubber meets the road, isn't it? Where theory meets practice. The book guides you through a meticulous step-by-step integration process designed to build confidence and habit. It strongly advocates starting each reading or study session by preparing your mind to focus.
That focusing seems key.
It's foundational. This means beginning with a few minutes of the alternating nostril breathing exercises, followed by about 20 minutes of the relaxation response technique from Chapter 8. This vital preparatory phase puts your mind in a profoundly receptive learning state, which is crucial for maximizing the effectiveness of all the techniques you've painstakingly learned. It's about setting the stage for optimal performance.
And once your mind is prepared,
then you practice reading at the study level, applying the strategic techniques from Chapter 6, including actively highlighting key concepts and definitions. And the book doesn't leave you hanging. It provides specific sample units and examinations for immediate application.
So you can test yourself right away.
Exactly. This direct application and immediate feedback are absolutely vital for cementing the skills and, most importantly, for proving to yourself that the system works, that you are capable of this level of information mastery. This immediate reinforcement solves the problem of doubt and builds critical self-efficacy.
The chapter also provides invaluable specific tips for scoring high on exams, directly addressing the problem of test anxiety and inefficient study. What are some of those?
Well, beyond mental preparation, through focusing to avoid anxiety, it emphasizes crucial question-type awareness. Multiple-choice questions, for instance, primarily require recognition using your associative memory, which is generally the easiest to access.
Right.
Fill-in-the-blank questions, by contrast, demand direct recall of literal information, requiring more specific memory techniques like the index cards we discussed earlier.
Right, more active recall needed.
And essay questions are the most challenging, requiring extensive direct recall, where visualizing information with all your senses and having well-organized schema truly pays off. Knowing these distinctions allows you to tailor your final study efforts precisely.
That's really useful. Any other test tips?
Here's a brilliant strategic tip for any test, a real problem solver for time management. Always skim the entire exam first, taking 2 to 5 minutes.
Skim the whole test.
Yeah, to find the easy sections you can tackle quickly, and, crucially, to identify information in one question that can potentially help you answer another. It's a strategic way to maximize your score and efficiently allocate your precious time, solving the problem of feeling rushed or lost in a test.
That's clever. What about standardized tests?
For standardized tests, the advice is always to read the questions before reading the accompanying essay or passage.
Why?
It effectively primes your mind to spot the answers as you read, making your reading highly targeted. The author shares a truly remarkable personal anecdote of scoring an 800th, the 99th percentile on the biology GRE after only 7 hours of study using these techniques.
7 hours after getting C's in college bio.
Exactly. It's a powerful testament to the system's ability to solve the pervasive problem of test-taking anxiety and chronic inefficient study, even when facing a subject you previously struggled with.
That really brings it all together.
It does. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the core problem presented throughout Super Reading Secrets is one of vast, untapped human potential. The solution, meticulously laid out across these chapters, suggests that true mastery of information isn't about natural talent alone or simply reading faster, but about the conscious, intentional application of specific, proven techniques that align with how our brains actually function. This raises an important question. What unexplored knowledge, what incredible insights, what revolutionary ideas lie waiting for you if only you had the right system to unlock them?
Indeed. This entire deep dive has revealed a monumental problem that affects virtually everyone in the modern world. Our minds are capable of so much more than traditional reading and learning methods allow. The book Super Reading Secrets isn't just offering a few clever tricks or hacks. It's a holistic, integrated system, building brick by brick from understanding how your mind fundamentally decodes text to breaking old, inefficient habits. Mastering information extraction, tailoring your reading to your purpose, studying smarter, unlocking your infallible memory, controlling your mental state, and finally, integrating it all into a seamless flow.
It's the whole package.
It really is. It's a profound call to action to not just read more, but to transform how you learn and interact with information. It means that the solution to information overload, inefficient learning, and underdeveloped mental capacity isn't just about reading more, but about reading differently. It offers a clear, actionable path to becoming a master of information, equipped to tackle any challenge. So are you ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and start experiencing the profound joy and power of truly mastering information? Perhaps it's time to find out what hidden potential you possess simply by changing the way you approach the written word.